Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. So today we are going to talk about the midpoint formula. And the midpoint formula is easy peasy lemon squeezy. All you do to find the midpoint between 2 points, some arbitrary points here, some ordered pairs, x1, y1 and x2, y2. To find their midpoint, you add the first x coordinate plus the second x coordinate and divide it by 2, and then you do the same for the y coordinates. Add the first y coordinate and the second y coordinate together, divide it by 2, and you'll get the coordinates of your midpoint of the 2 points. So we're going to do 6 problems here, and it's going to be real simple, really easy. What are the first ones they have in mind? Find the midpoint of 0, 2, got to find 0, 2, and 6, 4. So we are being asked to find the midpoint of 0, 2, and 6, 4. Well, you'll take your first x coordinate of 0 plus your second x coordinate of 6, divide that by 2, and then you'll take your first y coordinate of 2 plus your second y coordinate of 4, divide that by 2, which then of course would end up giving you 6 over 2, and then also 6 over 2. So the coordinate for your midpoint would end up being 3, 3. So the midpoint of the coordinates 0, 2, and 6, 4 would in fact be the point 3, 3. So you see how easy that is? Got 5 more. I'm teaching this now. I'm actually going ahead a little bit, then we're going to go backwards because you're going to need this in the next lesson for an exercise. Alright, let's say this time you have the points -2, 6 as well as 4, 3. So you have the ordered pairs -2, 6 and 4, 3. Let's find the midpoint. So the midpoint, of course, would be equal to your first x coordinate of -2 plus your second x coordinate of +4, all that divided by 2. And then you would take your first y coordinate of 6 plus your second y coordinate of 3, divide that by 2, which of course would end up giving you 2 over 2, and then 9 over 2, giving you a midpoint of 1 9/2. And you can get fractional coordinates for your answers. That is normal. So the midpoint of these 2 points would be 1 9/2. You could also say 1 4.5 or 1 4.5. Any of those ways is correct. 1 9/2 would be your midpoint of these 2 points. All right. Now, what's the next one? We got the points 6, -7, and then we have -6, 3. So we need to find the midpoint of the ordered pairs 6, -7 and -6, 3. That's no biggie. To find the midpoint, you'll just of course add up your 2 x coordinates of 6 plus -6 turns into 6 minus 6 divided by 2. And then you'll end up taking the first y coordinate of -7 plus your second y coordinate of 3, divide that by 2, which would end up giving you 0 over 2, and then -4 over 2, giving you your midpoint to be 0, -2. So the midpoint of these two ordered pairs would in fact be 0, -2. Three more problems. Different this time. We have the coordinate A and 4, and then we also have the coordinate A plus 2, 0. So they throw a variable in for the x-coordinate. Well, it's still the same process. To find the midpoint here, you're going to, of course, take your first x-coordinate A plus your second x-coordinate of A plus 2, divide all that by 2, then you do the same with your y. Take your first y-coordinate plus your second y-coordinate, so you'd have 4 plus 0 divided by 2. This would end up giving you 2a plus 2 divided by 2 for your x-coordinate, and then 4 over 2 for your y-coordinate. Well, we know 2a plus 2, there's a common 2 that factors out, so you'd have 2 times a plus 1 divided by 2, and then 4 halves is 2, which would give you a midpoint of a plus 1, 2. So the midpoint of these two ordered pairs would be a plus 1, 2. Got two more problems. All right, what if we had the ordered pairs 2.3, 3.7, and then 1.5, -2.9. So we have to find the midpoint of the ordered pairs 2.3, 3.7, and then 1.5, -2.9. Same process. So you just take your first x-coordinate of 2.3 plus your second x-coordinate of 1.5, divide those by 2, then do the same with your y. Take your first y-coordinate of 3.7 plus your second y-coordinate of -2.9. This would turn into 3.7 minus 2.9 divided by 2. So 2.3 plus 1.5, that's 3.8 divided by 2. Then 3.7 minus 2.9 is 0.8 divided by 2, which would give you your midpoint to be 1.9, 0.4. So the midpoint of these two ordered pairs would turn out to be 1.9, 0.4. And I got just one more. All right. What do they have in store for us this time? Good one. A and B, and then C and D. Alright, so we got to find the midpoints of the ordered pairs A, B, and C, D. So still the same process. So you take your first x-coordinate of A plus your second x-coordinate of C, divide that by 2, then do the same with your y. Take your first y-coordinate of B plus your second y-coordinate of D and divide that by 2. And in fact, there's really nothing else we can do with it. So the midpoint of these two ordered pairs is a plus c over 2, b plus d over 2. Now, why did we do this problem? Why is it useful? Why is it useful? Because this is going to come in play in coordinate geometry. So when we get further in, we're going to have problems like this. So just a heads up. So that's it for this lesson. Next lesson we will talk about circles and the equations of them and graphs of them. Hope everyone has a great day. Take care.